Hi, good morning, Rashid.
Good morning.
Yes, do you have any inquiries?
I do not.
Cause your hands is raised actually.
Oh, sorry.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I hope you are having good time and we will have the last session today on Java. And from Thursday, sorry, we will start talking about Python. Today's session will be full of activities and I hope you will enjoy it. Through this for how many sessions? We did 5 sessions, I think. Yeah, 5 sessions. I think we covered a lot of things. Almost you did the full year one programming course, and today we're starting in the second course to some level. We'll touch on object-oriented programming. So if you practice, you gain a lot of knowledge, hopefully, from this course. And Python will do something similar, and then you will be ready to go for the last two modules. I hope you've been enjoying this program, finding it useful, and you learning. That's the most important thing. You learning. Um, Things at the beginning look sometimes difficult, but when you practice, becomes easier and easier. With the time, you will find yourself have more confident, and I can see many of you really showing better than what really year one students usually do. So you are in a very good shape, and you have good knowledge, and you are smart, and you have access to more information. So I'm sure you will do excellent thing. I will see you in the future, maybe owning a big IT company, or even if you're not getting that direction, you can build application, help your whatever your business is. If you are in cybersecurity, you will need coding. If you are in software, of course, you need coding. If you study AI, you will need coding. And even nowadays, if you study anything else, some coding skills will help you. And the coding, the good thing with the coding, it improves the thinking process and problem solving. So these are will be skills that you will make it strong when you do that. Okay, let's go to our session. I think you have access now to the video. Ivy kindly sent you a link with the video of yesterday. We had little issue with the video yesterday. It was too big. I don't know why I continued running for 4 hours. So you have to cut it and trim it and make sure it can be uploaded. So that version has been now uploaded. You should have access to this presentation. Let me stop sharing. Maybe I'll put the link in the chat for those who are I don't have it. I think you have it because Ivy sent the presentation to everyone, but sometimes some of you are not on that list, which again, Ivy requested that you update your information. By now it's shared and you can see it in the chat, so you can see the same presentation. I'm planning when I have time, I will even improve this presentation further, and you will always have access to the latest version of this presentation. Anytime I make any improvement, you should be able to access it. Okay, so today we'll be going to session 4, session 4. And what we did last time, just quickly, I'll go through what we did last time, and then we'll come to today's, because I want you to be aware of what we are talking. Some of you maybe missed yesterday, or some of you can't remember what we have done exactly, or there are things that if you see it now, you understand better. So what we did yesterday, we looked at the arrays in more depth. So we looked at sorting the array, and we said to sort the array, you need to import arrays from the library, java.utility arrays. And when you do that, it gives you access to this method called sort, arrays.sort. You can run it. Without that, you cannot run it. And if you have an array like this one, then this is the way you can sort it. Once you do that, it creates in the memory another, the new version of X, which will be the active one, and which will have the correct order of the data, or sorted ascending. You can use a for loop to go through that. We used a different for loop this time from the one with I equals 0, I less than excellent, and things like that. We use this method, which basically takes a variable, you call it x1, you call it anything, and that variable will represent every single element. So every time the loop moves, it go to the next element and next element, okay? And it requires a colon here in the middle, and this will be the name of your array. If your array is X, you call it X, it's Y, you call it Y. This will represent the array, and actually this is the sorted one, and this way you will print the array, okay? Okay, so that's, we learn now how to sort and print array. Can you mute your microphone, please, if you're not you don't need to speak. Okay. Finding the minimum maximum, very simple. Once you sort your array, the first one will be the minimum, the last one will be the maximum. And the way you get the minimum and maximum, by using x0 for the minimum, and x of x dot length minus 1. We said the array start by 0. So if you have 3 elements, the last element is at index 2. So you need to take the length with 3, you take one of it, and that will be the position for that element. And then we looked at changing values of array. You already have array and you want to change value. So we looked at, if you have an array, you want to change the first element to 50, you put 0 here because that's the first, and you make it 50. And same thing we did with the third location, which is the second. And then here are some, and then we move to the method. So we said, if you want to organize your code, it's too large, break it into method, and each method can do only one thing, like adding, creating sum, creating average, changing the color, moving object from one location to other location. This method you create, and then you can call them as much as you want to call them. So it became your code reusable, and make it more organized. So the method, there are different type of method. One that receive parameters and return value. There's one that receive parameters, doesn't return value. And there is one doesn't receive or return anything. And these are the different type of methods which we can use. Here is an example of one that receive parameters and return value. The parameters are put into the two brackets, after the method name. So this method name is sum. After that, in the bracket, these are the parameters we call them. And this can be 1, 2, 300. If they are large data, you put them in an array or array list or find a dictionary or JSON file. There's so many format of those data. And then you can pass large data. And then the system will do some processing and return the value. If this return the value, if it has int here or double or float, not void, you must have return inside, because this method returns a value. What the data type of that variable is integer. And that's where it is. Now, this is the body of the method, which the process that will happen and produce the output that you want to have. Okay. And then we looked at some examples. So today what we will do, we created number of methods last time. Now these methods, instead being all in the main file, we'll put them in a separate file. Okay, and then we will work with them. But we'll do before that few other things that you will enjoy. These are the things you'll do. So the first thing we will do is building a menu. A menu, like you go into a restaurant, you'll find different type of food or drink or thing. You look at it and you select from that menu. This is similar thing. You get a menu of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then based on your selection, something happened. You can see this one in the telecommunication. If you go abroad and you want to subscribe to roaming service, you put hash, I don't know what the number, 177 star, then it gets you a menu. Do you want to add this package, add that package, and based on that you enter the numbers. You have seen it, and this menu is useful in making the software dynamic for the user. Later, if you build a graphical user interface, instead of menu, you will have buttons to click, you will have images to drag and drop, you will have some other type of thing to do. But the menu is one of the things. We will also look at how we can create classes and objects by moving our code from the main class, the main file, to other files. You'll create a student file, the course file, account file, things like that, and how we can put the code there and call it from the main one. And when doing that, we'll do something called encapsulation. Encapsulation is more a security of the data, keep the data secured inside that class. So people have to access it in a very secure manner, and we'll look at that that way. So these are the things we'll do today. So why we need the menus, I explain, make it easy for the user to interact. It provides some guidance to the user. It is more efficient, the usability, the consistency, and things like that. So how we can create a menu? By doing this, we will learn how to use something called do while. Remember, we spent time doing for. Now we'll do into the do while loop. And here is an example. I'll take you through this one slowly, and then we will build it ourselves and work with many things. So I'm going to use, sorry, in this example, I want to use an array list. So I need a menu where the user can add an element. I want to add to the array list 5. So I press on 1 and add 5. Then press 1 again and add 20. Then press 1 and add -6. And all this goes into the array list. Anytime I want to remove 1, I select 2, for example, and decide what value I want to remove. It will remove it from there. If I want to print what's inside the list, I click 3, it shows me this is what's in the list. If I want to stop the program, I press 4. That's how this code will work. So let's see how we build this one. First, we will import array list because we will be using array list. We'll import scanner because you want the user to enter the scanner. And then in the array list, we'll create a variable called list or a list called list. And that is of type integer. And this is the line we used last time to do the same thing. Now this is a memory location called list, empty, has nothing inside it. We'll start adding it. The user will start adding to it. The next one, we create an object of scanner, which we're familiar with it. And we have a variable called choice. Choice was what the user selected. Now I want to create the menu. To create the menu, you need a do. You do on bracket, and then you write the menu. So for example, one, add an element. This /n, I added here to create a new line. So when we run the code, there will be space between the beginning and this line. This you will see it later. So one is add an element. Two is remove an element. Three, these are just print ln statement, very simple. This will appear for the user when he runs the code, or she runs the code on the screen, and then they will select. So this just simple print statement. We are still inside the do loop. Then the next thing, we will ask him to do the choice. So we'll print a message for the user, enter your choice. She will, student enter that choice, or the user enter choice. We'll store it into choice using next int, because this is an integer value using next int. Now we have choice. Because we have choice, we need to act based on that choice. If the choice was 1, we need to ask the user to enter a value for the element to be added to the array list. If it's 2, we'll ask him which element you want to delete. And if it's 3, we will show the data on the screen, and so on. So how would that work? We use something called switch. Remember, we are all still inside the do block. So switch, and we use that choice as the switch. Now, if the switch was 1, it will perform this code. If switch is 2, it will perform the next code. If 3, will perform the third, and that's it. Let's come back here. So if it is 1, we need the user to add data to the array list. So we'll display a message for him, print, enter the element you want to add, whatever I want to say. Now the user enter the element, we'll store it in a variable called element, and we capture it using s.nextInt, capture it from the user keyboard. Once it's done, we add it to the list using the method add. List.add. Remember last time we said the array list has add, has remove, add many things, methods. So one of it is add. So we're basically adding. So the value coming from here will be added to the list. Now, if we print the list, we find one element in that list, which actually this one. Okay, so there's one. Now, after you do that, you need break. I think one of you asked me, I'm not sure, Khadija or someone, is there a break in Java like Python? Yes, this is the break, because I don't want to go to the next case, because this is done. I need to close it and go out from the switch. So when I do break, it jump out than outside the switch, and do not go to the next one. But if the case is not 1, it's 2, for example, then it will come to 2. 2 here is the one that we remove the element. 1 is adding element, 3 removing it. So how we do? We'll ask the user, enter the element that you want to delete. So assume we enter, there's an element called 5, want to remove it. I can see some hands up, and I'll come to you if you give me time. So case 2 will ask him, enter the element that you want to remove. I should maybe have said that one. I will do that. Then we get that element, we capture it, store it in something called element1. We use a different variable just to be consistent with our data. And because we declare the other variable within case, the previous case, it's not accessible here. That's something called scope of variable. Just ignore as I didn't say that. Important, we need another variable to be used here. So we call it element1. And we'll capture it from the user input. Now we have it. Now we know the user wants to delete the value 5 from the list. what we do, we'll go here, say list, remove, and then we need to convert that value to integer, yeah, which the user has entered. I know they are int. Int is different from integer, by the way. Int is a primitive data type or original data type of type integer, but integer is an object, okay? So we need to convert int to integer. So this is the way to do it. So we'll say integer dot value of, and then element 1. So this line here inside between from I until this bracket will take this value from here, convert it to integer, and then remove it from the list using remove. So this will remove it. That 5 which we wanted to delete will go away. Now there could be an error because asking to delete something is not existing. Then that way we need to do something called exception. We'll come to it later. So once we did, we break it. So every case should end by break. If you don't have break, it will continue to the next one and cause you an issue to do. So you need break. Okay? So break after every case. Now case 3, if the user selected 3, what we will do, 3 will list the data for him on the screen. So we'll ask him, I will display a message, the list is, okay? And then we use the method println list. Array list can be printed using just the name of the array. You don't need to have a for loop to go through each one to print it, although you can do that, but there's no need for that. You just can print it directly by saying print list, and it will show you the list. Okay, and then you have another space just to make it look, and then break. So we finished the switch. We need to close the switch first now. We open, remember here, we are here. We have the do. Inside the do, we put the menu. Inside the menu, we had asked the user for input data. Then we had the switch open here. So this one need to be closed. And this one need to be closed. Yeah. So where I close this one, I close this one after the last case I have, which case 4. Case 4 is just exiting the program. And here I use just very simple system dot exit 0. And then it will then break. This will stop. Once stop, I'll close the switch here. And then now I close the do. The do required to have while. Do doesn't work without while. And while's basically here saying repeat the loop while the user did not enter 4. Choice is not equal. This means not equal. If choice is not equal 4, continue the loop. But the user click 4, end the program to do. And this is a menu that you create. And now here we're closing the main, and here we're closing the class to do. So that's how we create a menu. I prefer we do another menu together and we make some experiment with it, and then we'll come back. Yes. Views and so very good. Yeah, you are right. Faisal, Faiz, you are right. Int is primitive data type used for sorting index. It's a primitive data type. Integer is an object of a class called integer. Okay, let's go now to the coding. Where is our coding? And let's create a menu, and then we will do what we need to do. So let's test menu example. Let's call it menu example. Okay. So we are here, and let's clear our screen and clear our screen, and let's have enough space to do what we need to do. So first, let's import Java utility array list. That's the one. Good, array list. Okay. Utility array list. Okay, it's fine. This one I want to delete. That's one. And then the other one we will import scanner, import Java utility scanner, which we done with that one. Let's clean this one. So by now you know the structure, yeah? You know it very well. It's became obvious for you, hopefully, to do. So what we want to do now, we need to create a menu, yeah? So let's first create an array list at the beginning. So we'll create an array list, and then we'll do array list, and we'll use type of integer, and we'll call it list. Just let's call it list only, not list A. So this is an array list. Sorry, integer. And here it should be integer. I don't know why it's just doing this. Okay, so we are creating an array list. It's an empty. If you print it, we'll see nothing inside it. Okay, let's do a scanner. So scanner, this time used input, I'll call it S. Okay, and now we'll have a variable. We'll call it choice, and choice. Why I'm putting the variable here, I will show you later. We'll do some experiment and show you how important it's to have the variable here. So that's what the beginning of our code. So we just imported, we created an array list, which is now empty, called list, and we have a scanner, and we have a variable called choice. Okay, let's do the do here. This is the do. And inside the do, we'll have those statements: system dot out dot println. We'll say one add. Okay, we simplify it. To remove, 3 display, 4 exit. Good enough for us. So these are the menu we have. If I run this code, will not work. I'll get an error because I don't have while. Let's do the while here. While choice is not equal 4, and you need a semicolon here. Okay, so choice. Very good. Let's run this one. We have choice. Okay, we don't have a enter value for choice. We'll do. Let's do one more thing before that. Let's ask the user to enter the choice, and then we'll say the choice will be this. Okay. So these 2 steps now, after the menu, we're asking the user to enter the data. Let's clear this one, and now run our code. So this is our code. We have this menu. We just created the menu basically. We added this message, but you notice choice, enter your choice came closer to the menu. I want to make space between this line and the menu. The one I can do this by \n here. If I do this and run it again, you'll see there is space. If I need another space, I can put \n as well. And this will do more space between the two. That's in case you want to do. If you want to add a space at the beginning, which will be useful later, we'll do 1 space at the beginning. So this space is now became clear. Now what we need to do next, we need, if the user enter the data, we need to check based on the data. So we have something called switch. Okay, this is the switch. So the switch use some case, use something called case. So case 1 lowercase, sorry, case 1 lowercase colon. This is the way it works. So if I say case 1 colon, that means this is the block that will run if the user selected 1. And now we'll ask him enter the value. We will have a variable. We don't want a list, but we can we can. This is another thing we're adding here. It's good. It's added. It's good. Let me just make this like a comment. So ignore it. So later I will show you how it will work. Now we'll go here back and we'll say case 2 colon 2 colon. Okay. This is the second case, and now we're asking for entering the data. It just follows everything as I said. Now I need to remove the element. Now this element has been added. I want to remove it. So here second is removed, isn't it? Yeah, second is removed. So I need to say less dot come here. So it become organized. List dot remove. And I need to remove the element. Maybe you can say this is how it will work. Just take it, okay? This will not work, and I'll leave it as it is because later we will test it together, okay? Because I need to convert this num2 to integer, which we used the other way to do it. But leave it now as it is because always good to make mistakes in programming. Why? Because you can learn more when you do the mistake. The third one is printing the list, and this is just a very simple one. Just using the print list and it will print the list. And now the remaining is case 4, which just ending our code, and we will just break this one. Okay, can use system exit as well. Let's do it here. System dot exit. Okay, 0. Okay, this will just stop our code. Did we miss anything here? So we have, I think, everything. So let's try our code now and see what will be the situation. Something, okay, stop, delete, run. So we are here. Let's choose one and we'll add the value 55. And choose one again and add the value 66. Now let's choose 3. 3 displayed didn't display the value. I think we have a mistake here. Oh yeah. In 1 we need this one. I said yeah. This is what I commented. Yeah, that's the adding 1. So let's repeat it again. So stop. So without adding it to the list, it will not appear. Okay. So although we added, but it's not adding. You notice that's what I want the message to get you. Now let's do again. 55, then 1, 66, and let's look at 3 now. These are the items, 55 and 66 inside. Now this came closer to this one. I need to give it a space. So slash backslash n backslash n. So let's get our code looks better now. Now very good. If I say 1, I put 66, 77, 5, 9. Okay, how many? It's not working. Okay, sure. What I'm doing? 1, 44, 1, 66, 1, 99. And now let's look at 3. These are the items: 66, 44, 69. Let me add one more, 100. Okay, now let's display. They are now 100. Okay, let's add one more, minus 25. And let's display it again. So you can dynamically now add and do, but the remove will not play. will not work. So if we say now remove 2 and I want to remove 44, I get this error to do. Why? Because remove, I need to convert this one. Remember what I said with the remove? We said we need to convert the element, here element 1, that num1, by using integer dot value of. So that's the only thing I need to do to make this one work. So I say here integer dot value of, and then here we'll put num2. That's it. Now it should work with no issue to do, because we converted it. So let's run that and say 1, we will add this number, 2 will add this number, and then 1 again, sorry, add this number, and 1 again, add 77, and then say 3 display, this is the thing, and 2 remove 77, and display 77 again. Now, if I remove 22, both of them will be deleted, or one will be deleted. That's a good question. Let's try 22, remove 22, and then say 3. One of them. The first one always get deleted with remove. Second one will stay. So now on the menu, I'll just stop here and see if you have questions on the menu and how we can create this menu, and if any challenges you are facing. Could someone please paste the whole code in chat? I'll paste it now, the live chat, the live code, but don't change it, please, yeah? Just use it you can run it and see how it runs on your computer, but don't change it, because otherwise it will change the code for the others. I can see many of you start now using it. Yeah, it's very good. Replit is very good, especially if you go to the subscription. Are there any questions? Yeah, I can see there is a question here by Hannah. Hannah. Yes, go ahead. Unmute your microphone, please.
Yes, sir. So, sir, I did this code, I'm done with it. And I tried to go a step forward and I tried using all the arithmetic operators, addition, subtraction, and all of that, and I did it. But the code that I got, like I wrote the whole thing, but it's a very long code. So, is there a way to like write it in a shorter method?
Yeah, okay. You can organize it better, which I will show you now in the next part, how you organize it better and divide it into files. But you can, of course, sometimes reduce the code. Like, for example, instead of sorting the data yourself, you can use the sort method. Instead of using the long for loop, you can use the other shorter version of it. There are ways to make it less, but sometimes there's a limit to what you can make it less to do. But organizing it is the most important thing. You organize it in a way that it's easy later to modify and easy to understand for other programmers. But glad you did this. And if you want sometime to show us what you did, it would be good as well. Okay, any other questions? I can see Aisha.
Hi, sir.
Yes,
I'm a little confused with the /n.
yeah. Very
I
good.
joined a few minutes late and I didn't quite understand.
No issue. The /n basically saying create an empty line before this text. So if you write your name, for example, on our Microsoft Word file, Aisha, if you want a space to be on top of your name, you need to hit enter and then write it. /n similar to that, like it hits enter to move to the next line and then start writing. So this is the /n. So when I put /n, it will leave one empty space. and then starter. If I put 2/n, we'll leave 2 empty spaces and then display the message. So look at the screen. That's what it is. Yeah. You see these spaces here between exit and this is created by /n, these
Okay.
spaces. So just to avoid getting the code, the text all attached to each others. So you just
Okay.
make some
Otherwise, we
space.
have to print a line, like empty line, and then.
Yes, exactly. The other,
Okay.
this is another way to make it easier to do this. Very
Okay.
good.
And I didn't
Yeah.
understand the switch choice also.
Okay, I'll switch. I'll explain it again. Switch basically is like the switch. For example, when you switch the light on your room, that's a simple on and off. But sometimes there are options to select. So if you click one, for the fan, for example, if you use a fan here, we don't use that much fan, but for the fan, if you put it on one, it will be maybe too fast rotating. Put it in two, it will rotate with certain less speed, maybe. Okay. 3, switch like that. If the user selected one, for example, here we have this menu, add, remove display. If the user added one here as a choice, now it will allow him to enter an element, to add an element. So you say enter the number to add 20. Now, if I selected, for example, another number, let's look at it from top here. Here, for example, when we started, I put 1. 1 means I can add data. So you ask me now, enter a number to add. I added 22. How this came? It came from 1, from this part, because I entered 1, then it goes to the part that has case 1. Case 1 asking enter the number to add. Then it gets that number, then store it. Okay. But if I used, for example, 1 again, it does the same thing. Okay. When I move down here and selected 2, it moved to the other part, which this part, which enter the number to remove. So I get a message say enter the number to remove. To do. So based on which number the user selected here, it will switch to the right case.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I understand.
Very
And
good.
uh,
Yes.
if, for example, like in some cases, we ask the user to enter yes or no to continue, right? So in that case, can we write case yes, case no, like that?
No, you need to use numeric because the choice is a number. But you can put a number like, for example, 9 or 0, 0 or thing like that. And by also you can use yes and no inside the case itself. So after entering the number, you can ask him a question. Do you want really to store this number or not? Okay. And then removing, for example, because removing is critical, you can add a condition here. Do you really want to remove the number? If he said yes, you run this line. Else, you don't run that line. So this
Okay.
way you can verify. Yeah, good.
But you always need to have a number for the cases.
Yes,
1,
for the
2,
cases have to be
okay.
numbers. Yes, cases have to be
Okay.
numbers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, pleasure. Okay, any other hand? No other hand on the QA. I'm just looking at the Q&A. Can you explain how to make the simple login screen with username password? We can do that, but let's see, maybe I'll create a video for you and send it on that one because I need to continue with what I have. But maybe if you get chance and time, we'll show you how to do that. Okay, let's now continue in our exploration. Okay. So today we'll talk about something called classes in Java. So far we've been dealing with only one class, which here, public class main. That's the one we've been dealing with. How can we create additional classes and store it in an additional file and call it and make them work together? Okay, so how we can do that. I hope someone added part here. Don't please add things to destroy the code. Okay, so let's go and create a new one. You have unsaved changes. Okay, thank you. No problem. Let me, where I am here. Actually, different thing. Okay, let's go and look at, yeah, let's continue here first. So the class has number of components. Okay, any class you look at it has number of components. One is the declaration of the class, the name of the class. What's the name of that class? Is it public? Is it private? The other thing you need to have in a class called fields. Fields are data related to that class. Fields or variables, instant variables. And the third one, something special method. Special method, it's a method, but it's a special one called constructor, which we'll talk about it. And at the end, methods, 1, 2, 3, 10, whatever, depends on that class. Let's look at some examples. So why we need classes? Yeah, first of all, why do we need to create classes and complicate things ourselves? The number of reasons. One is encapsulation of data, means making data secured, hiding data from external. This is called encapsulation. You know those capsules they put in medicine, they put for us. The concept is the same. So there are things inside, you don't know what it is, but you know it helps you to become better in certain conditions. Okay, so we just hide data from external, and we'll see how we do that. And then it promotes modularity, means you can divide your code into modules, and each modules can be improved, upgraded without affecting the rest of your code. So that's something you need to do. Reusability and abstraction, you can reuse the code again and again, and abstraction allow you to be more flexible in using things. And the last thing is the maintainability, which you'll be able to modify, to change, to maintain the code easily when it's well structured, instead of having everything in one file. So let's look at an example here. So I looked for you an example of class student. We'll create many classes today for you to understand how they work. So if you take a student class, student in a university or in a college, what are the fields that he or she will have? Can you put this in the chat? What are those fields that the student should have? Any student should have. Any student should have a name. Of course, yeah. Any student should have an age. Any student should have an address, a school, a parent, maybe weight, maybe length, maybe height, sorry, maybe nationality. These are things that help us identify one student from the other student. And these are called fields. So let's take only two fields here in this case. And let's say we'll have name and age. If we know how to do two, we can do as much as we want to do. So name is a string usually, yeah. And age is what? Is a number. Okay, so these are two attributes which chosen in this situation. We call them attributes sometimes we call them fields, and sometimes we call them instant variables. Okay. Now the next thing we need to have after having these two, we need something called constructor. Constructor is used to create a student record. if you want to create a student record in the university, you need to have a form where you fill his name and age and other information. The constructor is a method that does that, create a record of that student or that object. Because this can be an object, anything, but student here in this case is example. So the constructor is a method like any other method, but what did you notice in this method that is different from other methods? Put this in the chat. What did you notice in this method? Public, student, string, name, age, thing like what looks not familiar or not strange, looks strange or no looks like a special thing. Private. The word this, yeah, I like that. This is one, yeah. The this keyword. What else? Private. The attributes are private, yeah, or fields are private. That's fine. But I'm talking about this method here. What's special? Not static. Very good. It's not static. Yeah. In the main, we all had static. That's a very good one. New one. Data type not mentioned. Data type is mentioned here. String name, int age. Now, find another thing. Oh, I need one more thing. Look at the name of the method. Okay. Look at the name of the method. What do you see strange or special in this name of the method? Of course, it's not main. It should not be main. What is the name of this method? The student. Correct. The name is student. Very good. Which the same name as the class name. Okay. So the constructor, the method name must be, I'm using must here, yeah, must be the same name as the class name. So I call this one anything. Course, this has to be course. Call it car, this one should be car. University, this should be university. The exact same spelling. So the name has to be the exact spelling. The other thing, does it return a value? Does this method return a value? No. Why we know it doesn't? How we know it doesn't return a value? How we know? It's correct, it doesn't return, but how we know it doesn't return? Because there's no, the word return is not there, yeah? There's no word. But if the word return is not there, isn't it we need to have a void here? Void. Remember last time I said, if the method doesn't return, you need to use void. That's what I said. But the constructor cannot use void. So constructor cannot use. So what we know now about the constructor, the first one, the name of the method should be, or the constructor should be the same as the class. There is no void here of any data type. You cannot put string, you cannot put integer, you cannot put even void, you cannot put. And the other thing, it doesn't return any value. So this is special one, special method called constructor. The constructor has to be, what the purpose of it? It creates a record of that object. How it does it? Now, when you call this method, you need to supply a name and age. This method, yeah? This name and age will be used to change the value of this name and this age. So assume I passed Hamad 30, okay? Hamad here, 30 here. Hamad will be stored in this one in the field as 30, and age which 30 will be stored. But how it does it? Does it this way. So it used this. When you say this, means you're referring to this one. Notice we have two names. You have name here and name here. If we do not use this, it will get confused. Do you mean this one or do you mean that one? When we use this, we mean this one. So change this one by say this to whatever value being passed here to this. So if I put Hamad here, this will be Hamad and will be stored in this one, which is this one. When I put age 30, 30 will be stored in age, which this one here, and become like that. So this one create a record of the object. We will see how that works exactly. Then what other methods we have? This is called constructor. It's like building a house. You construct that high record. So you're creating a record. You're constructing a record of the object. Now, what else we can have in that? We can have other methods. Ones say start by the word get. Get name. This we call it getters. Yeah, we call them getters. Getters method. Now, for every variable here, if you have name, you need to have get name method. If you have age, you need get age method, which will come to it. If you have nationality, you should have a get nationality method. If you have whatever, you need a get method. For each one of those, you need a get method. Now, this get method is a public method, has to be. And if it is get name, if the name is a string, it has to be string. If the age is integer, it has to be integer. So you have for you here age as well. Okay. So what the purpose of this get method? The purpose of get method, it tells you if I look at the record of any student, if I want to know his name, I will call get name. Get name will give me the name of that record. If I put get age, it will return to me the age of that student. Basically, it finds out what is the value here and send it back. So what it does, return this name. So this will return back to me the method. Now, the other method called set. Set name and set age. We need to have it. I didn't add it here because make the page big, but we'll do it in the coding. Set, it does the opposite. Set is change the value. If I recorded someone his name Hamad, and after some time he changed his name to something else. I know some people who sometimes change their name. At least I know at least one person who changes his name. And if you want to change the name, then you need to use a method to change it. You cannot call the constructor because the constructor is called only once when that person born or created, when the record is created. If you want to make changes, you need to do something called set name, and set name will change that name, and set age will change that age, and so on. We'll do practical things and you will understand it better. Before now, I can see some hands up. I don't want to leave them up without answering them. Ayan, and then I'll move there. Ayan and the Aisha first, then Aisha first, then Ayan, then Stephen, then Amir, Hor as well. Oh, very good questions. I would expect that. Yeah, let's go with Ayan. Ayan, unmute your microphone and speak, please.
Yeah, sir, I had a question. What is the real life application of this?
Oh, this huge question. It's a very good question, by the way, Ayan. A real life application. If everything we're using now is created this way. For example, if you open Microsoft Teams, when you open Microsoft Teams and go to the chat button, the chat button is a class that manages how you chat with the people. Inside it, there are maybe other classes that is been using. All the code nowadays is written in an object-oriented manner, which this way. So it divided into classes, and each class giving very specific functionality to do. And then these classes are linked together. So when you click on the button to start the chat, it calls that class, creates an object of that class, and retrieve the data related to that class, and allow you to start updating it. So you ask a question, it goes and change the chat and display it on the screen. Create an array list of your discussion and keep displaying it on the screen line by line every time you do. And this is the way it works. There's no programming nowadays without object-oriented, because object-oriented makes scaling programs much easier and logical and well organized and become easy to improve as well. Like this class, if I want to add another method to it, I can add, or maybe make this method works better and display colorful names without changing the main code. I just work in this class and improve it. When I improve it, it appears on the main code directly, without going to the main code and making changes to it. So that's the real use of it. Yeah. I hope I give
Thank you,
you
sir.
some useful thing, but Stephen,
Yes, hello. When we're using this code, like, we just start by introducing our three values and then just start introduce like public student, then we do all that.
yeah. Yes, now the two steps. One is you create this code by, as you said, you create a new file. We'll go do it now live. Create a new file and call it student.java. And inside it, you write this code. Once you do that, you go back to the main class and start calling these methods from the main class, which that's the next step we'll be doing. Yeah, so there's two steps. One, you create the class and then you start using it. If you create it without calling it from the main class, and there is specific method that or specific steps you need to go through to call it, if you don't call it, it's not going to be useful. It will not be used to do. So we'll see that one and you will understand it when we go into the next step. Or,
Sir,
yeah, sorry,
I
go ahead.
sorry, I had one more question. Where does
Yeah,
it like
please.
get the name from when we say like get name, get age?
Yeah, this is again related to the security I mentioned. You notice name is private and age is private. When it's private means it cannot be accessed from outside. So the name and age, if you call it from the main method or any other method, you will not be able to call it. Okay, so how we can call it if it cannot be called? How we can get to it, to change it or call it? The object-oriented create a mechanism through get and set. The get and set are methods that are public. So if I want to change name, I cannot change it directly, but I have to come through this method. If I have set method here, and it will do it. If I want to access it to see what that name, I cannot just call name directly. I need to call the method get name. So the method get name, it will send me the name. They created this mechanism to avoid people directly getting into your system and changing the value. Because when you call this public method, can be there is a process that you need to go through. You need login to the system. You need to have the right permissions. You have, and then you can call this method. But if this one is public, anyone from outside can change it. I will show you what that means in practice when we move into this one. Another question I have, Stephen?
No, thanks.
Okay, you'll have more later, I'm sure. Aisha?
Hi, sir. Um, I don't understand this dot.
Yeah, good. I think this unit look at it this way. Yeah, now we have confusion here. We have name here, and we have name here. Which one are we talking about? If you want to change something, if you want to change this one, you must use the word this. Because these two names are not the same. Yeah? This is a name and this is a name. Which one we are changing here? If I want to change this one, I use this. If I want to change this one, I don't want to use this. So this means related to this class. The word this means, so it says change the attribute that called name of this class. Change the age of this class. Okay, so this refer to to these two. Because there is a confusion between the two, we use the word this. If we call this one N, for example, and this is A, I don't need to use this. I can say name equal N, name equal age equal A. I don't need to use this. Yes, it's not important now. But because there is a confusion, there are two things with the same name. Which one you mean? There's Ahmad and Ahmad. I'm talking to which Ahmad here? Yeah, it's okay. If I'm calling to anything here, I'm addressing, I have to use the word this.
This.
That's
Okay.
the, yeah. Okay.
So
good.
everything that's
Uh,
not mentioned in that specific thing, we will call it with this.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
correct. Good.
And
Okay.
also,
Yes.
when I'm running the program, it gives me an error um in the first line. I
Yeah,
don't understand
maybe
what the error.
the import, maybe the import there's wrong something, semicolon missing at the end, or you spell the import wrong. There's something in the first line. If you just take screen capture of that and put in the chat, I will tell you what it is. Okay.
Oh, I did not import.
Yeah, maybe you didn't import. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
What should I import, sir?
In this one, you don't need to import anything. But the first line, you're talking about this code, yeah?
Yes, this code.
This code, you need the public to be spelled correctly. Yeah. You need to have a space. You need the word class, C lowercase, and you need the class name with S uppercase, and you need the bracket. These are the things you need. Just take screen capture of the code and put it in the chat. I will look at it.
Okay.
Now, I know, see, there's so many questions. I need to move faster because I have to show you how it works actually. Or unmute your microphone. Okay. Good.
The class
Yes.
is public, then how can be the name and age be private? Because if they are private, then if a public person accesses it, private. So
I didn't hear you, or you're not clear. Your voice is cutting off. I don't know. But these are private. If you talk about this, the class is public. The class has to be public, otherwise cannot be accessed. So class has to be public. The attributes must be private to protect the data. And then here, because you have those methods, they will get to it and send it to us. You will see this in example. You'll understand it more. For Amr.
Sir, I have another question.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, it's a little off topic, but I wanted to ask that can we use like statements in the if and else statements, like proper statements instead of numbers?
Yes, yeah, you can use proper statement. Yes, of course. In the if statement, you can use anything. It doesn't have to be numbers. It can be even a text. You're comparing a text to text. You're comparing name to name. Can be anything in the if statement. It doesn't have to be number.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Faiz, then Amr. Faiz, you are on mute. We'll move to Amr if you can unmute. Amr. Okay.
Hello.
Oh, Arwa, sorry, Arwa. Sorry, Arwa. Go ahead.
What happens if we change the private string to public? Will it still be the same?
Yeah, it will work. Yeah, if you make it public, it will private to public, it will work, but it's not secure. So I'll show you how that can impact the security. Yes, it will work. We can make it public with an issue. Okay, now let me just go and do some coding. We love doing coding, as you know, guys. So let's do some coding and create a new variable. We'll call it objects and classes. This will be fun. Now, as I said, now we move to the second course, usually in year one in the university. So you're moving now on object-oriented. So we're doing some advanced things. Now, this is our main class. Let me just clean it and make it look nice. This is our main class, which has only this. Do we know it? Now, let's create another class here and call it student .java. Now, this is an empty class. There's nothing inside this one. Let's build it and then see how it works. So public class, and we'll call it student. Okay. So now we have this public class student there. Let's put some attributes here. Say private. We'll say string name. Okay, so that's his name and age, and that's enough. I'm not going to do more than that. We'll do more later, but we'll understand now how to. So I need now a constructor, which public what? Student, because I called it student, and then passing to it these parameters. And now these are this. Now, as I said before, I could have called this one N, this one A, and instead of this, I could have used the N and A here, N and A here, and A here. This is still very good one, okay? But I want to keep it as it is so we can understand how it works. So when I use this here, I'm returning, I'm referring to this one, okay? Okay, let's do one thing here, get name, and I'll stop here just only. I'm not going to continue, then I'll continue after that, okay? So this is the class now I created. If I run my code, I'll get nothing. Why I'm getting nothing? The reason is obvious, as you know. So far, I didn't make any use of this one in the main class, because this is everything happen here. So now I want to create a record of a student in the main class. So how I do that? Now you remember scanner, you remember array list, you remember those things. This is very similar. So if I say here, student, which student means look at this class, create something from this one. Okay, so this is the new data type I created. So when you create classes, you actually create a new data type, which is not in the programming language. It's your own data type. So I created something called student here, so they're using this one. And I come with a variable, I can call it student1. Just make it student1. Okay, and make this one here, just to. So student1, use the keyword new student. When I use this student, it goes to the student and look for the constructor, which this one. Now it's going to run this one, to use this one. Now I pass to the student two variables, John, and 20. Now it goes to the constructor, as we said, and name become John, age become 20, and now it will change name to John, age to 20. So these two variables become John and 20. Now, if I call the method, this method, student1 get name, where is this one coming? Now, student1 is my object, like in scanner we use S, and we said after that we're using S. Now, student1 is representing that student, John. So if I say student1 get name, it will go here and find me what's the name of that student and return it back to me. So if I run this code now, what I'll get? I'll get John on the screen. Now, if I come to this one and add another one called get age, that's the other one, public and get age, and I come to this one and add another line here, call it do it automatic, system dot out dot println student age. And let's just make this one name equal, and we'll put this one plus. Now, I'm not worried about doing this additional things because I know you now good enough to understand what I do. Usually with my students, I get careful, so I don't want to confuse them. Now, these are two things now. So get name is and get age. So if I run it, I will get now the name and the age. Now assume I want to create another student. I need student 2. Let me come here and copy all this code. I need to create student 2. Student 2, okay, I'll call him Ahmad, and he is 18. And then I'll say student 2 here, student 2, okay, and student 2 here. Now I run, I have John and Ahmed, both of them, their name and age to come. I can create a third one, fourth one, 100, 1,000. We have 7,000 students at Abu Dhabi University. So all the 7,000 students can be created through a loop or come from a database and things like that. So that's how it works now. Now you understand. So I created a student class. I can make this very sophisticated code here. And then whatever I do here, it become easy for me to call it from the main class or any other class that I want to do. And this helped me in the future. Everything, the main thing being done here, in the main class, I just create object of it using something like this. And then let's create another one called course. Yeah, course. But before I do the course, let me do a few more things. Let me do set and set. Yeah, so we had get, let's do set. So let's do, it's here already, set name and set age. Okay. Set, see, this is the method set name, public void. See, the get will need a data type because it return. The set use void. So set name, set age. Now and these are the methods. And they basically use this equal name, this equal age. Now, if I come to the main class now, I have the first student name was John. Let me change it to something else. Okay, so how I can change it? I say student one, set name, and let's call him David. Okay, David. Okay, and let's leave the age as it is, and let's use this method here to display his name. So now I use the set name to change the original name to something else, and then I ask it to display it. So when I use that method, I just passed to it the new name. It went into the set name, used the new name I passed to change the main name here. Okay, so now if I run this one, you will get his name John and 20, age the second one, but now the new name has become David instead of that. Now we could have done this in another way. Instead of complicating this, we could have, or maybe instead of simplifying it, we can complicate it. Let's complicate it. Plus, we'll add a space, age, okay, space, then we'll have space, and then get age. I just want to simplify it, but I'm complicating it. So I'm deleting the second method. Okay, I'm using only one method to display the name and age. Is this correct? This quotation should not be here. Okay, so let's copy this one. Copy this one. I think you know it. I'm not complicating anything. You know it. But here I have to say this is 2, and this is 2, and this is 1, this is 1. Okay, now if I run my code, you see they coming better. So John 20, because what I did, I simply did put them on one line, say print name, then I added quotations, and then age. So now it's printing only name and age for me like to do. So when I call the method, it does work properly now. So it does display. So set will do that. Again, I can use again for student 1, if I want to change his age to 21, say he grew up by one year, and now I run it, I will say name and age has changed. So to change the value of any object, student 1, student 2, and student, you need to call the method set, and becomes the mechanism to do it. Why I need to do that? Because I cannot use something like this one, student 2, okay, think like this one, student 2, name equal Muhammad. This I cannot use. Why I cannot use this one? Because name is private. Because it's private, I cannot do this. So if I run this code, I'll get an error. Okay, saying error. Now, but if I make name public, and let me do it public, then this will run. If I make it public and come here and say public and come back to the main and run the code, it runs with no issue. To prevent people changing it from the main directly, we make it private. And when you make it private, people will not be able to change it directly from the main. They need to go through a set method. Need to go through a set method to be able to change it. And that's how it works. So we make it private. Now I can add other method, doesn't have to be set and get. Let me do one new method called public void. Okay, we'll call it display details. We'll call it something like this. And this one is simply a normal, it's a one method that will display the name. If I come with this one method, I came with my own method called display details. Let's see how we can simplify the code. This one here, which long, and we can delete them. They all can be deleted now. And I can come here and say student 1 student1 dot display details. And I say here student2 dot display details and student1 dot display details. Now this is the same code, but instead of having system out println in the main, I moved it to the class itself. So if I run my code, I get the same thing. Now you're getting this beauty of object-oriented, hopefully, you're seeing, okay? So you can push many things here, and you need them, you call them. You don't need to repeat doing it, like displaying the details of the student. I don't need to display it in the main code. The main code should be clean, very neat, and I can just call the method that I need to do to run to get the data I want to get. Okay, let's get some of your questions on this one. Then we'll go and create a class or a course class and see how these two can work together, how we can link this together. So put your hand up and get ready for questions. Okay, Faiz, unmute your microphone and ask your question.
It's Faiza.
Faiza, sorry, Faiza, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I wanted to ask that why do we use this name inside a class method when we can like already access the name using get name?
Which line are you talking about here?
No, I'm talking in like general. Why do we use this dot name like when we can already access the name using get name?
Yes, that's a good question. Now, before you are able to use the name using get name, you need to using the constructor. So this constructor is the first step to create an object. If you look at our code, we started from here. This line need to be there because I need to create a student. How I create a student? By calling the constructor student. The constructor student must have this, okay? Because I cannot use this and set. If I come here and say, for example, if I don't have, assume I'll come with the class student 3, and I say set name to Ibrahim, okay, or Faiza. Okay, this one will not work because student 3 is not created yet. See, if I run it, it will tell me what is this student 3. You saying student 3, it's not there. It will not work because set name cannot work unless you first create an object using the constructor. So for this to work, I need to say student 3, new name, and then initialize it with any name, can be even an empty name, has nothing there. And after that, I can use set. Okay, so this needed. Why? Because this goes into the constructor. That's one thing. The other thing, when you use set name, I need this. Why? Because I have name here and I have name in the main class. Which one I mean here? I can remove this if I want, but I have to change this one to something else to remove the confusion. So if I do this, it will work. Here, there's no confusion. You don't need this because N and name is clear. Now, this is the name. And N is whatever will come from the user sending it to here. So this case, I can. When there is two name the original of the class attribute and the same one in the variable, you must use this. Otherwise, you are confusing the code and the code will not run because it was wrong. But now, because I changed it, I remove this because this is N, this is name, the tooth. two completely different names, my code run with no issue. Okay, Faiza, I hope I answered your question. Or,
Yes, sir, I understood.
thank you. Or,
Sir, I wanted to ask it for
or you start, your audio is not clear and then becomes better later. Maybe you need to come closer, sorry, to the microphone.
Sir, I wanted to ask that is set for changing the name. Set method is for changing the name.
Yes, it's changing the name or the age or the nationality or anything. When you, for example, this one here is for changing the name. This one here for changing the age. If I add nationality, I'll have another one called set nationality. See, this is set name, set age, set nationality, set school, set. It depends on how many. The number of attributes here, you should have the same number of set method and get method.
Okay, sir, but can't we just do it from the main method?
We cannot change it directly because it is private. It's private, as I did show. If it's private, you cannot change it from the main method. You need to go through set to change it. That's
Okay, sir.
the policy, the rule. It's like the traffic department have their rules on the way drivers drive. This is the same thing. If you make it private, no way you can change it from the main or anywhere else. You need to use set.
Okay, sir, I get it.
Good. Yes. Stephen?
Yeah, sir, when we're using display details, how does it just replace, how do we just tell it what to do and then it just replaces what we need to do?
Yeah. That's a good question. Now display details, what we used to do before, we used to use here system.out.println, then we'll say get name plus get age, okay? Here, this is doing the same thing, but it's doing it inside the class. So it's a method called display details. بارك فيكم.
هدية خاصة.
بارك الله
وديها
فيك.
البيت.
سلمك إن شاء الله. بارك الله فيك. Sorry for that. So this method basically is can do anything for me. I can make it a very nice, complicated method like I want to add. It's a one place to make the changes for everything. So let me add a line above this one, ln slash do this line like this and semicolon at the end. Okay, and add another line below this one. This is very smart. It did understand that I want another line here. So you see, I made it looks beautiful. I can make it looks beautiful. This is not beautiful, but I can add color and things like that. Now, because it's in one place, I can change it. Anytime now I run my code, this will be affected on my code because it's a method inside that class that when I use it display, this does whatever format I create. This now the beauty of those classes. You can do things in one place and I didn't need to change anything in the main class. Everything the same. So basically it's replaced the display system.out.println. Instead of having them here, I print the age, I print the name, in the class student, which this class, I created a method called display data. I can call it anything. I can call it display student information. Okay, student info. Call it any name I want to call it, given that there's no space in that. And now it becomes here have to be the same thing. Now I'm confused myself, but anyway, we can put it back as it was. Okay, so that's where. Did that answer your question, Stephen? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so as long as we have display details and it has system.out.print, we don't need to write it ourselves, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we just call this method. We just call it. Now, if I didn't call it here, if I didn't call it, it will not work, of course. But because I'm calling it for student 1, it will display student 1. Then I'm calling it for student 2, it displays student 2. And then I'm changing the data and calling it again for student 1, it displays the updated student 1. Without calling it, it will not, of course. Anything you create in this class that you do not use in the main class or use through other method here, it's not going to be affected. Now let me complicate things or go on this one, then I'll come to Jashel. Now this method, I could have called it every time I change the name. So, for example, I change the name to this name. I can call it here. Notice when I called it here, I didn't say student 1 dot, student 2 dot, student 3 dot. I didn't say, just I use the method directly because I'm dealing with it within the same class. If you deal with it within the same class, you don't need to say student 1, student 2. Now, what benefit this one will do for me? The benefit is anytime I change someone's name, it will display his detail in this, the new details in the screen. And I can have it also for the age. Every time I change the age, it will display the details automatically without even going here and see here when we change, we called it. We don't need to call it. I just do it like that. The third one I don't need. Let's do this one now just to make it. So here what I did in the beginning, I created an object and asked to display detail. Second one, I created an object and display detail. Here I asked to change the name. Now, when I ask to change the name, it will go inside set name, which this is the one. It will change the name, of course. Then it will call the method display details here to display that student new details being created. Let's run this one and see what will happen. See now, if you look at the main code, let's start from the beginning. So it's created student 1 and display the details, which this one. Now created student 2 and display the details, which this one. Now change the name to David and display the details using name and David from inside set the name. And then change the age and display the details from the age. What I want to say here, the class itself, the method of the class itself can call other methods in the same class. So every time now I'm changing the name, in addition to that, it will call display name. Because usually when you change anything, you want to verify that change has happened. And if you add within the change method itself, displaying the details, it will display the details. So that's the idea. But this one, I wrote it only once, and now I can call it within the class itself. When I call it within the class itself, I do not need an object to refer it to because it deals with itself. But if I call it from outside, like here, I'm calling it from outside, I have to say which object I want to display its details. So here I want to display student 1, here I want to display student 2. That was. I hope I explained it clearly.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir,
Yes,
can you
yes.
send a link so we can
Yes,
refer?
now. Yeah, we'll do that right now. The
Thank you, sir.
only thing okay, good. Yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
so we just changed the what's it called? The set name just for it, like once we're done with making the name and the age, it just displays it automatically. That's what we changed, right?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, exactly. What we did, we changed the name, for example, and ask it to display details. Display details by default, it will display the name and the age. the way we created it. Although we didn't ask, we change only the name, but it will display the name and age, because that's the way we created it.
So display just copies what it has, and every time we use it, it just pastes it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. This class I did today, I usually take a week or to explain it to the students. So if it's too much information for you, don't worry about that one. That's where it is. I think with practice you will understand it. Let's create more classes so we can see how it works. I think that's a better way. Jaishel, I think that was your question, is just to paste the code, yeah? I did add it there. It is in the chat and everybody can see it, but I can see nobody clicked it. No, the people clicked, but nobody's changing it, which is very good. Thank you. Let us create another class. Now let's go to the main and create another class. Where is that one? Here. Now we have students. Should we create another one besides student, or should we create another project? Yeah, let's create another project and then we'll do this. I'm asking your voting on what we should do, but let's say courses, yeah? Courses. Let's create something related to courses. The more you do things, the better you learn, yeah? So practice is very good. Cleaning. Now, I have to admit that I didn't do lots of comments to do because I want to not to be distracted, but we should have some comments on our code. Okay, so let's go here. Let's now create another class. Now, I stopped using the other file because I can see people who are using it and become confusing on the screen. So we create something called course. So
Sir, we
public.
haven't got the link in the chat.
It is in the chat. I can see people accessing it. It is in the chat, isn't it?
Okay, sir. Well check.
Yeah. Check, please. If it's not the class, okay, public class, we'll call it course. Okay, now this is course. Now, usually the course, what are the attributes? Usually they have a code, so string code, okay, and it has a name and has description is too much, private, int, credit hours, credits, okay, that's it. So let's have a constructor. Now this is the constructor. Now we know what we notice in the constructor. I'm not going to ask the same question. The course, the constructor has the same name as the class name. There's no void, and it's public, of course. No static. Static is gone. Now, and we passing three parameters: code, name, and credit. And here become this dot name equal name, and then code equal code and clear. So this is the constructor. So let's add some comments. This is the constructor that receives. Okay, it's very helpful. Okay. That's good. Let's now put a get method, a set method, and then we'll do get. So public void set name. See the way it's written? What did you notice in the way the name is written? So if the variable is name, it is set name. If it's code, set code. But the other thing, name is uppercase here. This is just a naming convention. Okay, and let's do set code. Okay, and then that's set code and set credit and set credit. And let's add one here called display details. I am not going to do the get now, but let me do this. Public void display details. And this display details will display the details. Very good. Okay, it came like that. So now we have something class called course, and it has the things. Okay, we can ask for get and set, no issue. Now, how I can use this course class? I need to go to the main class and start creating courses. So created, we'll say course 1, new, that's the course 1, okay, and then course 2 and course 3, and then we'll say display details. We'll say course 1 dot display details, course 2 display details, course 3 display details. So basically you create the class, okay, you do all your code here and you make it as you want to make it, and then you come in the main, create object of those classes or using any variables you like, course 1, course 2. You can put it in an array list as well if you want, and start adding into the list, array list if you want, or an array, a normal array, and then you start dealing with it through running it. So if I run this one, is just that's it. These are all the courses. Now this display details is nice, but it's little need maybe some extra, some spaces in between. So let's put an N here and 2 N's here. So now the N will come, so they become better. They look better now. There's spaces in between. Maybe like this, maybe like this. So this our code is coming nicer. So anything I do here in display details are reflected in the main. Now, if I want to change the credit, assume the university decided to change the course name, okay, and I can do that, but let's do one thing. Okay, if assume the university decided to change the name, I want to change the name, I can come here and say course 2, assuming course 2, we're changing its name. So we'll use set name, and we'll change the name of the other course to data structure and algorithm. It is data structure algorithm. We'll call it advanced.
So could you share the link to this one too?
Yeah, I will do, but I will do it after I finish everything, because people will keep changing it and it become strange on the screen. I'll do that. Yeah. So now I set the name. If I set the name, what you will notice now, I just do that, nothing has happened in terms of the name. Let's delete. This is back to your question, Stephen. I changed the name, but nothing has happened because I didn't call print details. But if I added print details inside set name, I don't need to call it here. It will be there. So let's go into the course. And when we change the set name, let's call our display details as well. Very good. And let's clean this one and let's run. Now, when we change that course, and now we displayed the details as well. here the new details came. So the course 2, which 12102, became advanced data structure and algorithm, and the credit did not change to do. Now inside this one, let me create another class. We'll call it student now. Okay? Because you want the student to be registered in the course. Student.
Sir,
Sorry, student. Good job. Another class I'll create here called student. And let's get our student. We can take it from there, but let's build another student because we want just to practice. Class student. And here it's, we'll say private name, age, and this is the constructor. And we're setting the name, setting the age, and we have display details also done here. That's very good. Now we have complicated things, made them better maybe. If I run my code, nothing will change because my code is just working with the course. The main class only work with the course, not with the student. Okay. So how I can make the course and the student link together? I can do that. Okay. How I can do this? I can come in the student and add another private variable. This will be interesting to see. So private, and I'll call it course of type course and call it course. Okay, course only. Now I'm linking the course to the student. So I added in the student something called course. Now the student usually does more than one course. So we can say course 1, course 2, course 3, course 4, because he does more than one course. But let's just leave it one course. And in the constructor, I can add here course, okay, course 1. Okay, and here I'll add this course 1 equal course 1. Why? Because I need to initiate the course. Now there is a link between the course and the student to do. Okay, so this is something I have done here. Now if I run my code again, nothing will happen because I built some relationship between student and course, but I did not reflect it in the main. So if I come to the main now, let's simplify the main and just focus on one course instead of you get confused with all these things. Let's do one course. So in the main, I have only one course. Let me create beside the course a student. So student, how I can create student, but just say student, student 1, and I will pass to the student these details. And let's get display details away from here. So I added to the student now, I created two things. Let's do this one. Two objects we have. One object is a course, and that's CSC, whatever. And another object is a student. The student is using course 1 as one of its parameters because that student, who is named John, is registered in that course. I can have another student registered in the same course. Let me, because multiple students are registered in the same course, yeah? So student 2, his name Jane, and he's 21, but is registered also in the same course. How many of you are registered in this course? There's 500 people registered in this course, which we're running now. So I can do that as well. So this one now, everyone registered in that course. Now I have to be traveling and I have to, my wife is calling me. I have to go to the airport. But still we have some time to do few things. Now with this relationship we have built, but if I run my code, nothing will happen again because I didn't reflect this one in the code. Did I do anything useful? Let's run. Yeah, nothing is happening because I have I'm dealing with student 1, student 2, but I didn't call in student 1. This is the last thing I'll do, then I'll go in the display details. I can add the course here, so we'll say course get name. Very good. Now we have it. Very nice. Course 1 get name, which do we have get name in course 1? We don't have get name. Let's add in course get name when I just need to do this one, get name. So public string get name, and we just getting the name and returning the name, and that's it. Now in the student, now display details, it has the get names. Very good. So this is mine. Let's go to the main class. So what we did, we have a course and we register 2 students in the course, John and Jane. And now if I want to know what is the registration or the details of the first student, I can say student 1, details. My wife is a display detail will tell me display details. Okay, now if I run this one, see, I'm getting John is registered in this course. I can do the same thing for the second student. Now you're getting something that will require us to do more time to do this thing. But you get the idea. These classes can be linked together, and we create something called relationship between classes. And relationships means make a student can be registered in multiple courses. A course can have multiple students registered in it. And this type of relationship, which you will study in another course called object-oriented programming, which usually in year 2 of the university. So you start getting to know this thing. But the more fun, more interesting things in this course, which I'm sure you will explore it and you will get to know it better. Let me answer a few questions because I just before I close, I need to go. Yes. Share the code.
Okay, share the code.
I know that's question. I am sharing the code
Yes, sir.
right now. Yeah. But watch the video, and in the future, if you need more in this area, we can arrange for some more classes on this. No problem. But we'll repeat some of it in Python. We'll repeat some of it in Python, but in a different way. Okay, Aisha? Who is talking? Arwa.
Yes.
I shared the code. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, sorry. Can't you just copy the code and then send it to the chat?
I put the code, the link to the code in the class. If you click on it, you will get the live code. You can run it, test it. It's in the chat. I think I did put it, isn't it? Where is it? Did I? Okay, let me do it. I did it because I can see a number of you are already here. These are your names. You are here. This is who is, everyone is doing, I can see here. So it is that. Okay, so thank you. I hope you enjoyed the Java programming. Get excited for Python. Python will do fun. beautiful things we will do in Python, and I hope you will enjoy it. And I'll connect and see you on Thursday, inshallah. Thank you very much.
sir.
You too as well. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Sir,
sir.
where are you going? Like,
Sorry.
sir, where are you going?